Okay, here's my thoughts on the latest book about Jerald and Sandra Tanner. It's entitled The Lighthouse. The subtitle reads, The Despised and Beloved Critics of Mormonism, written by Ronald V. Huggins. Now, few Christian apologists or evangelists have not heard of the Tanners. In the early 1980s, I was exposed to their work and purchased a copy of the book Mormonism, Shadow or Reality, which had been in print in various forms for over a decade. These two ex-Mormons had been shaking up the world of Mormonism since the early 1960s and laying a foundation of research for many other authors to follow. When Ronald Huggins decided to take on the task of writing the Tanner story, he knew what a challenge he was in for, and I believe he's done an amazing job. Both Jerald and Sandra come from a long line of Mormon ancestors. So for them, as newlyweds in 1959, only an ex-Mormon can appreciate the pressure they would have experienced as they begin to question the history and the reliability of the church and its prophet Joseph Smith. Moving from California to Salt Lake in 1960, they soon met a barber named James D. Wardle, who had been plowing through the Latter-day Saints church archives and exposing what he found to the light of day. Soon, the Tanners and a few other like-minded people became aware of various splinter groups off of the mainline Salt Lake Church, and they began comparing notes. Some of these groups go back to when Joseph Smith was shot in the jail in Illinois, and their views about Joseph Smith varied. Some evolved into modalism, which rejects the Trinity in favor of the Father becoming the Son. The Tanners continued exploring church archives until the church leaders became aware that they were not simply there doing genealogical research, as is the church tradition. With the help of a mimeograph machine they bought from Sears, they were copying damaging historical documents and distributing them far and wide. The BYU library became a goldmine of early source microfilm. The Mormon leaders worked hard to debunk what was coming to light. In 1964, the Tanners began to focus on the problems with the Book of Abraham, which is in the Pearl of Great Price if you don't know Mormon literature, which the church claimed had been translated by Joseph Smith from an Egyptian papyri purchased from Michael Chandler in 1835. Scholars of the Egyptian language had been pointing out that Joseph Smith had no clue what he was looking at for some time. Wardle, the barber, found early microfilm of copies of the Book of Abraham, which confirmed what critics of the church had been saying all along. Barber's postman, Stuart Heward, became interested in the topic and was soon studying Egyptian grammar and alphabet, which led him and his wife to leave the church. While all this is going on, the Tanners are trying to pay the bills and raise a family. Their journey and their sacrifice has become a valuable resource for those questioning their Mormon roots, as well as for Christians who are trying to reach Mormons with the gospel. It can be a long and painful journey, but as the Tanners have proclaimed, the reward is worth it. You'll read about the sometimes rocky relationship that the Tanners had with Dr. Walter Martin of Kingdom of the Cults, and Ed Decker of the movie The Godmakers, and John L. Smith and Chuck Sackett and many others. And you will see how evil the LDS Church can be with lawsuits aimed at shutting down criticism. This book, in my opinion, is a must for Bible students, church historians, and those wishing to win Mormons to Christ. We must thank author Ronald V. Huggins for taking on the task of putting this all together. It would make quite a movie.